Hey friends! I've been on a real fitness wearables kick the last few months. I quickly realized that it's just not realistic or practical to use all of them. Most of them are pretty expensive, and even wearing two at once sucks butt and looks dumb. So, in today's Whoop 4.0 review, we're going to focus on just this one sleep and activity tracker, the Whoop Strap, to help you decide whether or not this is the right tech wearable for you. And I'll tell you right away, some people are going to love it, some people are going to hate it. And you know what else? Unlike the other reviews out there, I'm going to save you a ton of time right now by telling you what is by far the worst thing about Whoop right up front. That way, if it's a deal breaker for you, you don't have to waste another minute of your time listening to some handsome guy on YouTube talk about it. Just do me a favor, jumping off a video early hurts it in the rankings, so if you do decide to go, help a brother out by flicking that like button or leaving a compliment down below. So the worst thing about Whoop, the thing I personally hate, is their subscription model. Now, I always hate subscriptions, but I hate Whoop's a little extra. It's giving gatekeeping health data. First, it costs anywhere from $17 a month with a 2-year commitment to $20 a month with a 1-year commitment, or even $30 a month if you choose to pay on a month-to-month basis. Second, the band is completely unusable without a subscription. So it's not like you're just missing out on a few features by canceling. You stop paying, it stops tracking. But hey, everyone's financial situation and philosophy on subscriptions is different, so if this is something you have the budget for or you just don't mind it, there are plenty of good things about Whoop that may still make it worth the money for you. And if you stick around to the end, I'll let you know what I've decided to do with my Whoop. Keep it or return it. By the way, if you do decide to give Whoop a try, I'll drop a link down below that I'll keep updated with the best current deal possible, which right now I believe is your first month or so free. And using this link will also help support the channel, which I greatly appreciate. But let's slow things down there just a minute, cowboy. What is Whoop? Well, basically, this is Whoop. This little rectangle guy right here goes into a wrist or bicep strap, and it contains a handful of sensors that measure your resting heart rate, respiratory rate, blood oxygen, skin temperature, and heart rate variability, or HRV. It then takes all this data and crunches it up to create a bunch of graphs and metrics that can be incredibly overwhelming when you first open the app. Just looking at this, I feel like I'm ready to bomb calculus all over again. But relax, because here's the thing. The whole point of paying out the for Whoop is that it's actually going to do all the nerd magic for you, so you don't have to spend any time guessing how to optimize your daily performance, recovery, or rest. It's going to do this for you with its 3 main features, which are strain, recovery, and sleep. First, let's take a look at strain. This is basically the activity tracking part of the app, and here's what's important to understand. Whoop doesn't count steps to assess your activity. It does have a calorie tracking feature where it gives its best guess based on your heart activity, but the fact is, no fitness wearable on the market can accurately track calorie burn. None of them. There are just too many individual variables involved. And actually, I do give Whoop props for being transparent about this limitation on their own website. So, since no fitness tracker can accurately measure calorie burn, my suggestion is to forget that metric altogether and focus on what can be tracked instead, and that's Whoop's own unique metric called strain. Strain is basically Whoop's estimate of how much stress you put on your body throughout the day, and this is based on your cardiovascular strain, which is tracked continuously throughout the day via your heart rate. And again, this won't be perfect for everyone because not all forms of exercise or exertion cause your heart rate to spike for extended periods of time. In my case, it's telling you that my strain is pretty low for today, and this makes sense because it's still early and I'm really just sitting at home shooting videos this week, so my exercise load has been super light. Whoop is basically gently shaming me into getting some moderate exercise today. Thanks, Whoop. If I had worked out crazy hard all day and did a ton of cardio, my strain score would probably be way higher, going up to around 21, I believe the max is, and Whoop would of course take that into consideration when it comes time to recommending what kind of rest or recovery I need. So let's take a look now at the recovery section. Whoosh. Over here, Whoop will give you an overall recovery score for the day based on your heart rate variability, resting heart rate, respiratory rate, and sleep performance for the previous night. Most people interested in this kind of tech probably already know what those metrics are, and I don't want to go off on a tangent. So to keep things simple, a higher HRV and a lower resting heart rate are generally what we want to see to know that our body is healthy and handling stress well. This will vary on many factors, including age, and my numbers here are looking quite good right now, so I'm very happy with that. But you can see here that my recovery score is only 45% today, so Whoop is letting me know that something is up. And in this case, Whoop is pointing out that my HRV is about 10% lower than usual. Uh-oh! So this is where you might want to investigate a bit and see what's up. My HRV dipping a bit would make sense if I had worked out yesterday or got a poor night's sleep, but neither of those are the case, so something else is going on. HRV is a highly individual and sensitive metric that can fluctuate based on what we ate, whether or not we meditated, whether or not we had caffeine, whether or not we were stressed out at work, you name it. So Whoop will actually ask you to fill out a quick daily journal where you self-report your more common healthy or unhealthy habits to help you detect patterns in how they affect your HRV and overall recovery. In my case, to be honest, my throat kind of feels a little bit scratchy right now, so I suspect that my body could be fighting off a cold, and that could be what's causing my HRV to drop a bit. Whoop really can pick up on these subtle bodily changes, and I think that's pretty cool. Then finally, we have the sleep section, and this is honestly probably the feature I find most interesting, specifically because sleep is the area where I am least disciplined. Here it's got me clocked in at 9 hours and 6 minutes in bed, getting a total of 8 hours and 4 minutes of actual sleep, which checks out because right now I'm watching my friend's cat and she keeps waking me the up meowing at random hours of the night. It also breaks down how consistent your sleep schedule has been, how much time you spent in deep sleep and REM, and how much sleep debt you've accumulated over the week. And as far as I can tell, these metrics seem to be pretty damn accurate within a deviation of about 30 minutes or so. With all the information Whoop has on you at this point, how hard your heart's been working, how your stress levels have been, and how much sleep you've gotten, it now proposes a number for how much sleep you'll actually need tonight to wake up feeling rested and ready to perform optimally tomorrow. But probably Whoop's coolest sleep feature, in my opinion, is the ability to function as a vibrational alarm clock that wakes you up either at a certain time or, much cooler, wakes you up whenever you are optimally rested. Now, that is something super valuable to me because I have a really hard time getting out of bed if I haven't had enough rest. It doesn't really matter what time it is if the cat woke me up 8 times. And I know that what we've covered so far is a lot of data to juggle, so here's my advice for anyone buying a Whoop. If you're a super performance-driven biohacker, data nerd, athlete, you can go as far down the rabbit hole with these metrics as you'd like, because trust me, you can dive a lot deeper into this than I care to in this review. You can set goals that Whoop will help you reach and even explore individual habits to see exactly how much they're affecting your performance and recovery. But for more casual users like myself, you can just customize your overview tab to show the metrics that are most important to you and ignore the other 80% of graphs and numbers that aren't relevant to your goals. And that's the Whoop in a nutshell. You still with me? Now comes the fun part, the biggest pros and cons of Whoop. Let's start with the pros. First, the data seems pretty damn accurate to me. I've been comparing my biometrics on Whoop to my biometrics on other top competitor options, and while the top brands always vary from each other a little bit, I personally don't think a few seconds here or a few heartbeats there really matter as long as I get an accurate sense of my overall health trends. Second, and this is huge, the Whoop strap is by far the most comfortable activity tracker I've worn. I've tested rings, watches, chest straps, you name it, and I always wind up taking them off after a while due to discomfort or due to an activity where they'd get in the way. Unlike alternatives like the Aura Ring, it can be safely worn while lifting and you can even charge it while wearing it. So with a lot of competitor options, I ironically wind up taking the devices off while I exercise so I don't damage the screen or deglove a finger. And this kind of detracts from the whole point of having an activity tracker in the first place, in my opinion. So with Whoop on the wrist or on the bicep or even in the waistband, this is never really an issue. Of all the devices I've tried, Whoop wound up spending the most time on my body because it's so comfortable I honestly forget I'm even wearing it. The only time I personally take it off is to shower, which, by the way, it is water resistant. I just don't like having a wet strap on. Wet strap on? Cut that. Something else I like about the Whoop that's really easy to overlook, and I haven't heard anyone else mention it, is that it's really not a theft target like the other devices. While Whoop does have a pretty cool selection of accessories so you can change the strap color or hide it in your panties, overall it's a pretty non-flashy and discreet option. No one's gonna catch a charge trying to steal one of these. But if you were gonna be a silly Billy and lose or break your Whoop device, it's only $75 to get a replacement because you're really paying for the subscription, not the device itself, so no harm or foul. Speaking of subscriptions, here come the cons. The biggest con of Whoop, by far, as I told you in the very beginning, are the expensive subscription fees. Sure, you could save some money by paying for 2 years in advance, but come on, that's ridiculous. I think the subscription culture in general these days is getting completely out of hand, so to pay $20 to $30 a month indefinitely is far too much for me. I guess it could be argued that this model might work for someone who doesn't have the money to buy an activity tracker up front, so they'd rather pay $30 a month for a while, but I still think that's a stretch. I would be much more enthusiastic about Whoop if they offered a one-time, lifetime subscription option, and frankly, I might even be willing to pay $400 to $500 for something like that, but one time, I'm not willing to be on the hook forever. Who doesn't love a good one and done? And that's kind of it for the cons for me, if I'm being honest. But I will say, I know that some people dislike the remote charger because they think it's easy to lose. Some people don't like that the Whoop doesn't have a screen, like a digital screen. And some people find the Whoop hard to sleep with. But honestly, those points weren't problems for me even a little bit. So I'm not going to list them as cons for myself. Yep. For me, the sole issue, which is a big one, is the overpriced subscription model. But I digress. So, who should and shouldn't buy the Whoop 4.0? Well, the obvious ideal customer are data nerds, competitive athletes, and bio-curious biohackers. If the metrics we talked about today interest you, and you think you'll actually use the information to recognize patterns and make meaningful changes in your life, getting more sleep when you need it, cutting out the habits that most negatively impact your recovery, and taking it easier on the days Whoop tells you to, then yeah, I think it could be worth it for you. It's definitely the most comfortable activity tracker I've tried, and the data it provides can be super useful. But not everyone should buy Whoop. If you're not in a financial position to spend $20 to $30 each month on an activity tracker, don't. There are plenty of other ways to take control of your health and wellness that won't leave you struggling to keep the lights on. Also, if you're not actually going to take the suggestions or use the data that Whoop gives you to make meaningful changes in your life, then the Whoop would just become an expensive vanity accessory on your wrist. I mean, who really gives a shit what your HRV or resting heart rate are if you're not doing anything to improve them? You're just going to have to be honest about your financial position and your health goals to determine whether or not Whoop is worth it for you. But hey, you can always try it for a month for free, form your own opinion, and send it back if you don't like it. Or you could also kind of work a loophole by doing a year at $20 a month, learning everything you can about your body, like taking it super seriously, optimizing every little habit, getting your HRV up and your resting heart rate down, and then at the end of the year, I mean, you've already learned everything Whoop has to tell you, maybe you can just cancel. I don't know. Now, as for what I'm doing with my Whoop, I'll be honest, after 1 month of testing my Whoop, I'm actually planning to return mine right now. Which kind of sucks because I honestly really like Whoop. I like the device, I like the app, but as someone who already owns a bunch of other activity trackers and also someone who isn't rich, I can't personally justify another $20 to $30 a month subscription. Don't feel bad, Whoop. I canceled Netflix too. Although if anyone from the Whoop team is watching this and wants to bless me with a free lifetime membership, I will legitimately wear one of these every day for the rest of my life and talk shit about all your competitors. But you guys, my lovely viewers, if you've decided that you want to go ahead and give Whoop a try and you feel that I was honest and helpful in this review, and only if you feel I was honest and helpful, consider using my affiliate link down below to get your first month free and to support the channel. I greatly appreciate it, and I'm going to keep that link updated with the best deal they've got going right now. For everyone else, if there's anything I missed or you've got some opinions on Whoop of your own, drop a comment down below and let us know. Or just subscribe since I'll be posting more health tech reviews in the coming weeks. Catch you guys next time.